Hey guys, thought I'd make a video on how to fix your aperture block problem on your much beloved Pentax camera, specifically the K-30, K-50, K-70, K-s1, K-s2, and most probably K-f, even though it's very new, because they all have the same design. They all have the solenoid that pushes the tab somewhere here that controls the aperture in the lens depending on what you have set in the camera. So what happens over time is that when you don't use your camera, like this K-30 right here, if it's sitting around, that solenoid becomes rusty, not rusty, but sticky, and then it won't be able to control that aperture in the lens. So even though the camera thinks that you have the right exposure, when you take a shot, the lens won't open up and won't let the light in. That's why it leads to dark photos, right? So don't be discouraged if that happens, because there's a lot of fix that's readily available on YouTube or in the internet on how to fix it. There's three that I can think of. So there's one by Eric Wethington, or hopefully I pronounce his name correctly, where you have to open up the camera. You just need screws, and you just need a paper where you track down which screw goes to where until you get to access the solenoid right here. And what you do is you take it out and then try to polish it with a file or a sandpaper, and that will stop it from sticking. I actually did that fix for this camera, and it's working like a charm since then. It took 20 minutes without prior knowledge, right? So very easy to do if you're comfortable opening up your camera up. It's not that hard. So the other fix is very similar to that, except that you will need to replace the solenoid with a white solenoid from Japan. So you can source that from the older Pentax bodies like the K100, the IST, ISD, DSDL, up until the KM, KR, and KX, I think. Yeah, you can get a white solenoid from those cameras. So if you find one lying around being sold for cheap, just get it and then open it up and get that solenoid. Replace that, but you will need to have to solder it on. Right, so that's for the complex fixes, and those are more proper fixes. But there's one video, I think, without opening it up, posted by Lee Hayes. What you can do is you can set this to burst mode and just click the shutter, right? And that will get the camera firing through, right? 6 FPS, I think, or 5 FPS. And that hopefully will loosen up the sticky solenoid and eventually open it up so that it starts working again. It's a temporary fix, everyone knows that, but it works without opening the camera up. But the last fix I want to mention, and I haven't seen any videos about it, is it doesn't require you to open the camera up, and it also doesn't require you to increase your shutter count. Right, so which ultimately reduces the camera's lifespan. So what you need to do is, in a nutshell, is to couple the function button, the raw button, to the optical preview or the depth of field preview. So really what it does is that it tries to stop down the lens. Let's say if you set this to f8, the camera tries to stop down the lens so that you can see the depth of the field through the viewfinder. And this technology exists since the 1970s. So how do you do that? You turn the camera on, you go to camera settings, you go to button customization. That's the raw FX right there. You couple that with optical preview. If it's not coupled yet, you just press OK. It's probably going to be in the one push file format, and then you just go down, click optical preview, and there you go. Now you need to set this to f22. This camera has an aperture block, by the way. And then you press this, and you can hear the camera closing down the aperture, and you probably see it in the camera too. Yeah, see that? Yeah, so you do this each time you open the camera, and that will loosen up the aperture. The solenoid, I mean. So if I take a photo, right, it's not black. So hopefully that helps someone out there. And if it works for you, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know how it goes. Cheers!